There's nothing that I ever wanted to pursue that I felt that I couldn't because I'm a female. I never looked at anything and said, that's really a man's job, except their role in procreation. But other than that, right, there are ways around that, you're right. Yeah, there's just never been anything where I just felt like, that's really for a man, or I can't achieve that.
And this should spark a lot of conversation. If you could change one thing about the role in America, of women in America today, what would it be? Now, my personal response to that question, and nobody asked me, but I'm going to tell you anyway, would be very, very quickly equal pay in the positions, which is still maybe 77 cents on the dollar for men. More women in government. I wasn't terribly happy about watching a group of men talk about women's health in D.C. a few weeks ago, and I'd like to see that change. And overall, I would really just like to see the dichotomy shift so that we're not talking about men and women, and we're talking about individuals all being successful and having success. So those would be my three, from my perspective, from my era, and from my experience. How would you like to see the role of women in America today be changing?
The first point I also thought about was the equal pay. I mean, once again for me, and when I learned about this, because obviously I didn't expect that to be the case, I think it's just, it's outrageous. I really don't understand it. I can't believe that that is actually the case. Because I like to be idealistic and think that, we have a great society, but that's really a problem. I would love to see a woman president, I think. Which actually, I think brings me to the next point that I would like to see changed. And I could be really wrong on this, but I have a feeling that Kelly and I are really in a much better place as women today than women were before, and they really fought for us. They really fought for us, and they laid the groundwork, and I think to get to many of the powerful positions that women are in today, they have to prove themselves, I'm sure, and that meant to go beyond probably what the people that were in those positions were doing, which were men, but essentially probably demonstrate that they can be just like that, right? They can do the same thing. So whatever that man can do, I can do. And maybe that has also, suppressed those things that are unique to women. So I think if anything, hopefully we'll get beyond that pressure to be like a man or like anybody, essentially, and so that everybody can just be themselves, and that a woman shouldn't have to suppress a lot of the things that are unique about women, which is the caring, and I think it is a little bit of a different worldview, and I think women could, and not all women, but could bring unique perspectives of dealing in business or in politics or resolving conflict between nations. So I think it should be okay to know that maybe a woman is not like a man.
I agree with everything you said about the equal pay. I mean, when we look back in the 1950s, the workforce was made up of 30% women. Now in 2012, 50% women. And, we're doing the same work as men, doing some of the work better than men, and we should get equal pay.
I don't know if the statistics are either, but the women who are head of household and who are running single families are much more so than the traditional mom and dad raising their children. And so the argument that men have to raise their families and they have to earn more money really doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It was years ago. And I
look at my daughter. years ago, after she graduated from Georgetown with a dual major in finance and business management. She went to go work for a private equity firm in D.C. And despite her degree, the men, they just treated her like a little secretary. And she really didn't want to fight, so she left and went somewhere else. But there's something else that really concerns me too. As women, you know, we are fighting for equal rights, and we should be treated as equals. But we've also put ourselves in that position of saying, not only can we bring home the bacon, but we can cook it too. And so we are so busy, you know, proving that we are great mothers, we are great employees, and sometimes I wonder, what about the children? Because even though we have taken on some non-traditional roles, I don't see a large percentage of men taking on non-traditional roles. You do have some stay-at-home men, but I wonder now about the children. Are we really doing children justice? And how do we resolve that? I think somehow if the partners, the male, female, mother, father, husband, wife, can come together, and if we can understand those roles. So maybe we will have more women out there working. Maybe there are certain things we can do better. And maybe we can bring home a bigger piece of the bacon. And maybe it is okay for the dad to stay home. But I think we're out there and we're competing and, you know, we're always fighting. And believe me, I'm all for equality. But I always worry about the children. Are we really taking care of our children? Are we really giving them the love, the nurturing, the time that they deserve?